So I felt like I needed to come, do a video or whatever for people who are struggling, maybe with judgment or just the idea of consciousness in general because of how people may perceive you. Because what truly got me on my journey was judgment in general. Not necessarily judgment towards me, but it was like I saw judgment and it didn't sit right with me. Like I didn't like it. So some of who truly know me, I'm a PK, a preacher's kid or whatever. And I've literally been in church all my life. Literally. And my mother before me, she's a PK. Her parents were PKs. Like, it's just, yeah, it's in me. And so what I realized, just growing up, seeing things that I just truly didn't agree with, like even as a kid, it was just certain things that we were just taught not to do, but I saw it and it it didn't make sense with me. And it's not even like bad stuff, no drinking, no smoking. It was kind of like how we interacted with one another, to the point where I really didn't want to interact at all. Some people may say differently, but I was kind of standoff, you know what I'm saying? Like, there were times where I was hella standoffish because, like, it was weird to me, to go from, like, things like the spirit moving and then boom, we playing, talking about each other after church. I hated it. Like, that stuff got on my nerves or whatever. But what really got me to truly study for myself, I was doing a group therapy session, and I am the person, I really truly love working with the forgotten ones, the ones that people have counted out. And, so I work with addicts. So we were doing a group session about spirituality, and there were some people who didn't believe in God. However, some of their reasonings, I get that too. How church folks act. Some questions they had that never was answered. Like, as a PK, I've said something to my mom or something to my parents, and their reasoning or justification didn't sit well with me. I've heard other people, conscious people who had left the church, same complaints that church folks have about each other, they have, and they too also, everybody likes to throw it's contradictions, the Bible is contradictions, and they're not lying. And so I came across this pastor, and his story was, and I'm not throwing any names out there, but I came across a pastor, and his story was that, he left the church to go find God for himself. And I resonated with that. And so I was listening to his podcast, his recordings, whatever else like that, and I resonated with everything. And as a person who wanted to be a history teacher as a kid, to me, that was the first part that was missing for me. Things started to make a hell of a lot more sense when you started putting, historical context and accurate or somewhat accurate historical context. Because what I realized is that we ain't never studied. It's a difference between education and training. And if you're constantly using this one text to study something that you want me to believe is historical, for me, it's like, why are we not using other information, other text, other documents, manuscripts to study this specific thing? And so in studying for myself, I got rid of that whole, what I didn't agree with other people who called them, considered themselves to be conscious, was that there were contradictions. Like, I remember when I came across I was, because I study my Bible, I try to study all religious text. Now, it wasn't always like that. But I was reading and I realized, I was like, yo, you really need to read this, the Odyssey and the Iliad together, kind of like side by side, like a compare and contrast type thing. And so anyway, I realized that there were no contradictions. There were just areas of study that we have not studied. Like, we as melanated people, we're not dull. So even in our ancient texts, our mythologies, our methods were not meant to be taken so literally. And so the fundamentalism, we have to let go. Any of the things that we think are bad for us or we were told were wrong, they are divine and they are us. We are born spiritual beings. So anything taken away from us, like educationally. It's literally taking something that's a part of us. And that's where we fall short. It's the fundamentalism, the not truly studying, because in that regard, we're idiots. Literally, we're ignorant. Because it's not a one size fits all. It's not here, this is what I give to you, and this is wrong, and we don't have a why. This is why people are leaving, because we don't have answers. We don't have answers because we truly do not study. We are spiritual people. We don't need construct to be a spiritual people if we are already the prototype. However, to help us get back to ourselves, I know someone is going to disagree with me, but I don't have any qualms with the church or anyone in their religion, because let me tell you something. It is my humble opinion that the church did exactly what they were supposed to do for us as first frequency people. They did exactly what they're supposed to do, because I realized, like, even some of them in the pulpit, they don't know. You can't teach or preach something, and I take that back. You can't teach something you don't know, because I personally I think there's too much preaching and not enough teaching. And that's where we as first frequency mess up. But if you don't know, if your leader does not know, and so I truly do, like, I think the church is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not up to them to give you something. They've been giving. Whatever they give you, that encouragement, that food for thought, is supposed to lead you back to yourselves. We live in a society that we are so caught up in everything else outside of ourselves that we don't have time to go home and think, let me go pick up another book. Or they said X, Y, and Z. Where is that on the map? I don't think I saw that on the map in the back of my Bible or in the front of my Bible. We're not going to the libraries to go look up what's this, that, and the third, because truly, there's a lot of information in these texts that if we just went to an encyclopedia or the library to look up, it would lead you to something else that's contradictory, and you're like, that doesn't quite make sense. Well, why doesn't it make sense? What else is missing? Because that's what it is. It makes a hell of a lot of sense when you figure out the parts that are missing. So if you think this is some type of game or some type of mystery, it's truly not. We've just been dummies. And it's fine. We're all dumb over somebody or something. And this is it. So if you needed some type of aha moment, this is it. Step into your godhood. It's been there for you all along for the taking. Whatever you got going on, it's fine. But you can believe and have your belief system and have it expanded as well. Christ is a title. If you are offended by that, be offended, because I don't care. But I don't care what you believe in or whether you believe in nothing. You too can be anointed. You don't have control over that. If you want to be a dummy, if you want to be a dunce, fine. That's up to you. But if it's on you, baby, it's on you. That's okay. So I'm for real. Like, this is just encouragement. Like, there's certain things still to this day that I read or I come across, and I'm like, yo, it was there all along. What the heck was I doing? You mean all this time I've been sitting up in church and I was playing? Now somebody else might be offended because if they think about it, they'd be like, oh, is she saying, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. Because I'm at a point in my life that I am so full of everything that I know that God has for me, that I can say for 30 years, I was playing. I wasn't studying. What relationship was I having? I was following somebody else's system instead of trying to study for myself. Let me tell you something. One text is not enough. Fire and brimstone is not enough. Preaching prosperity is not enough. I don't need to be fed on my emotionalism. I need to be fed. And it's a lot of that that's not happening. And I know firsthand, like I truly like don't mind telling my own story or how I feel, because it hurt me for people to truly want to leave something that I realized that, wow, it's for you. It's just for you to figure that out for yourself. I can't tell you that you can be Christ. I can't tell you today is your day to to decide to step into your godhood. I have people in my own tribe, my tribe, who knows that I struggled with the literalism of fundamentalism, and it took me a minute. But it makes sense. Time out for contradictions. It all makes sense. We just have to study. And baby, the studying is lifelong. It really is. And what you're studying is yourself. The books are nice. Getting together with your little friends on Sundays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and singing, it's nice. But the true study is here. This is your church. This is your first altar. You have to take care of it. And this right here, you have to feed it. You got to feed it. We cannot afford to walk around dumb. With all these constructs around us, the one thing that we as first frequency people should be doing is taking control of our minds. And it's that simple.